Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our swearing-in ceremony today. This is one of the highlights of our careers, and we get to do, and we've done it fairly regularly now. And I always like to start off with, first of all, saying thank you to the officers that have chosen to come with our department. And if you look at their backgrounds, it's quite impressive. Every one of them has impressive backgrounds. And as I was talking to them before about, this is probably one of the most important things you're ever going to do in your life. When you look at what our mission is, keeping our children safe, we've got roughly about 200,000 students in 187 different schools spread out over 2,300 square miles. And every day, we do everything that we can to keep them safe. And it's a 24-hour-a-day operation, really. And one of the things that's really unique about working in the school district police department is, unlike working in the city where I've spent almost 4 decades working, you're part of a bigger team here. You're part of a collaborative group. When you hear things about out in the media now about working more closely with mental health workers, we do that every day in our behavioral services unit. You talk about working in your particular community, you'll know these students and they'll know you, and quite frankly, they'll see you every day and they'll remember you for the rest of their lives. And think about it for a minute. When you think about your school that you went to, you probably remember your school police officer. And the commitment of these officers in return is really quite remarkable. Because let's think about this for a moment, what we're asking these folks to do. If the unthinkable happens or a catastrophic event occurs at their school, they're willing to go down the hall by themselves, not wait for backup, to go down that hall by themselves and take care of the business that needs to be taken care of in order to keep our students safe. That's a pretty big commitment. It's not one to be taken lightly, and it's not something that everyone can do. And so I really admire the folks that are willing to step up and do the job that you all are committing yourself to. A little bit about our district. I can tell you that, as I said, we've got 187 schools spread out over 2,300 square miles. When we have all of our students on campus, our food distribution people, for example, serve over 3 million meals a year. I mean, that's quite incredible. Our school bus drivers, they drive, when you add up all the miles that they drive in a year, it's equivalent to over 10 trips to the moon and back. That's the moon and back team. And so every day, in essence, what we do is we pick up a city in the morning, we move that city onto our campuses, we feed them, we educate them, we keep them safe all day long. At the end of the day, we help them get home safely, so we empty out our city. We take a nap and we do it all over again the next day. And when you get to work with this team, it's really quite remarkable, because what you find is they make it look easy, and it's not. And so hopefully you will feel the same way I do, and I'm very proud to be a part of this team. And probably most importantly, what I think is really rewarding for our group as law enforcement officers is it's just not about keeping children safe. We become role models and mentors, and these children look up to you. And we're part of a team that looks at every one of our students, every child, from a holistic approach. And so we work together to do everything that we can to provide our children in our schools with a safe environment so everyone has a chance to succeed in life. And I tell you, there's nothing more rewarding than that. When you think about it. So thank you for choosing us. I hope you will, with all of your backgrounds, I know you will, find that this is probably one of the most rewarding things you're ever going to do, and one of the most challenging things you're ever going to do. So thank you for that. Before I introduce our school board chairman here in just a second, I wanted to just talk a couple seconds about what we're going to do today. So each of these officers is going to take 2 oaths of office. One is a law enforcement oath of honor, and it talks about integrity and character and public trust and having the courage to hold ourselves and others accountable for our actions never betraying our badges, and all those things that are so important, and they're even more important in today's world and today's environment. As I have said to them, I will be raising my right hand with them, and I'll be promising each of these officers that I will do all those things. They're promising me that they're going to do all of those things, and together we're promising all of you and every member of our department and the law enforcement profession that we're going to do those things. So it's an important oath. The second oath is the one that I call is the one that gets you paid, and that's the official oath of office. After which we'll talk about, when we come back in a couple of seconds, we'll talk about the badges and the pinning of badges and why that is so significant. But before we do anything, I want to talk about the fact that we're only as good as the support that we get. Our superintendent, Dr. Fenoy, is amazing in his support for law enforcement, for this school police department, and for safety in our schools. He's really quite remarkable. And also our chairman of the school board, Mr. Barbieri, who's here with us today. We've sworn in about 180 new officers over the last 26 months. And so that's quite an accomplishment. And Mr. Barbieri has never missed one of these swearing-ins. He's been at every single one. And so that's a pretty big record. I don't know, we might have to call the Guinness folks and find out if that meets any criteria standard. But we wouldn't be where we are today without the support of our school board chairman, and as Mr. Barbieri will tell you, he has a little bit of a history in this profession. And so I'd like to give him a couple of minutes to come up, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Barbieri, and talk to these new officers.
Good afternoon. As the chief said, I was a police officer once, so I looked at your backgrounds and I'm super impressed. I mean, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Customs Service. I mean, I don't know how he finds all of you, but the chief's done an excellent job of bringing some of the finest police officers we could find anywhere, and you're 4 of them. So thank you for agreeing to come with us. I just like to, I was a street cop, I was on the SWAT team, but I never got a chance to work mainly with children. I see one of you, Officer Mamino, I think you were on an FAU campus, so you've had some exposure to students. So I just want to remind you that one of the most important things that you can do as a board member, what I think is that you can change perceptions about police officers with our kids. Many of these children have never met a police officer. They only know you from what they see on TV, which is obviously sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. So yeah, I just want to remind you that the youngest ones who have had no contact, you can change their lives, the way they think about police officers. So take every opportunity to get those children to bond with you, and they will. Those children will bond with you, and you will bond with those kids. I mean, you'll get to know them, and once they get to know you, they will trust you and make your job easier because they can give you information on potentially serious issues that may arise on your campus. The other thing is some of those kids have had bad experiences with police officers, so they come with this perception that police officers are bad. You have the opportunity to change that perception for those kids because they've never probably met a police officer that's there to help them. They've probably been in situations where a police officer's been called to a family situation or something like that, and they've only seen the worst part of society. They haven't seen what you all can do to help them. So please take every opportunity to bond with the kids, and they will come to trust you. I like to tell the story about every year the school board meets with the state legislators that represent Palm Beach County. And we're coming up on the anniversary of Marjory Stoneman Douglas, but shortly after that tragedy at that school, the board had an opportunity to meet with the legislative delegation, and one of the senators said to me, and I'll never forget it, he said, "How do I know, Mr. Chairman, that your police officers are not going to stand outside while kids inside are being slaughtered?" And I said, because our police officers will bond with those kids. You'll know those kids are waiting for you, and those kids know that you're coming. So as the chief said, you have the most dangerous job of any police officer, because when I was a cop, even the SWAT team, we waited for backup before we went in anywhere. You won't have that opportunity. If God forbid something horrible happens, like Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and some idiot gets in the school and tries to hurt kids or staff, it's your job to do it, to take care of that situation before anybody can show up to help you. Hopefully the other officers will be there quickly, but you have no choice. Those kids are in those classrooms and they're waiting for you to come through the door and save them. So I give you a lot of credit for that, because it is the most dangerous job a police officer, in my opinion, can have, is to have to face a gunman with no backup. The other thing that I like to tell you is that the board fully supports our police department. We've always done everything we can to make sure there's funding there for whatever you need. And I've made it a point with this chief and the chief before him and the chief before him that when there's something you all need, he just needs to let me and the other board members know, and we will do everything in our power to make sure the funding is there to get you whatever equipment you need to make you safer, to help you do your jobs better. But again, I just want to thank you for choosing Palm Beach County School District. I get calls from other chairmen around the state, and a few from around the country, that want to know how we did this, how we formed such a great police department. I didn't have anything to do with that police department. I've been on the board for 12 years, and the police department was long before I was here or got started. But we've done a great job, and we have a reputation around the country as one of the finest school police departments in the country, and I believe we're one of the finest police departments, forget about school police, in the entire state. So thank you for choosing Palm Beach County. I think you chose wisely, and we welcome you. On behalf of the board, I welcome you to our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barbieri, and again, I appreciate you being here. You know, I didn't mention to you all before that Mr. Barbieri's played a number of different roles for us over the time that he's been here. He's pinned badges on. I think you even signed somebody's paycheck one day, didn't you? He signed a paycheck or two along the way, and so really been truly supportive. And I think it's really important for you all to hear from the chairman of the school board, because it's important for you to know the levels of support that we have within this district and the levels of support that we have at our schools. And I'll tell you, there's not going to be anything more rewarding, especially like if you're in an elementary school, for example, and the kids are walking down the hall and, you know, they want to come up and hug you or do whatever it is that they want to do. And we've had some of our officers who, you know, started the lunch bunch, and, you know, he eats with like 20, 30 kids, and you're all waiting in line to get there. And when you're at a high school, it's amazing when you see our officers there, and you know, you hear a lot about people not liking the police and that kind of thing, but yet when you're there at the high school, our students are walking down the hall, same thing with middle schools, and they're fist bumping the officer, and the officer knows them by name, or, you know, and they're confiding in that officer, and it's just really just remarkable. My hope for you is that you will get to experience all the highs, and unfortunately some of the lows are low when you want to help every single kid. But I hope you get to experience a lot of that, you know, in terms of the appreciation. A lot of that will depend on you and what you do going forward. So we're going to get into the badges here in a second. Thank you. Thank you. And so one of the things that I always like to point out about these badges, or the guys from New York always tell me to call them shields, whatever you call them, is it's very shiny. There's no tarnish on this badge. There's no tarnish on any of these badges if you look around here. Okay? That's important to us. We present them to you untarnished. We expect you to keep them untarnished. And so this is an important symbol, as you all know, for every law enforcement officer. And so as a little added security for that, a little added insurance, we're going to ask your person that you've chosen to come up and pin your badge on your uniform for the first time. And every day you put that uniform on, I want you to remember who put it there first, and what it means to you, most importantly, what it means to them, and what it means to all of us now that you're part of this department. So we'll do that shortly. So we're going to start with the oaths of office here. And as I said, we're going to take 2 oaths of office. The first will be the law enforcement oath of honor. And if you would, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, my community, and the agency I serve, so help me God. Outstanding. You can put your hand down for a second. Okay, so the next oath we're going to take is the official oath of office that gives you the authority to do what you do as a police officer here for the School District of Palm Beach County. I'll say I, and you, after I say that, you say your name, and then repeat after me, okay? All right, so raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida, that I will enforce the laws of the United States and the state of Florida without personal bias, and that I will well and truly perform the duties of a police officer for the School District of Palm Beach County, Florida, on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Outstanding, guys. Congratulations. You can put your hands down. Okay, who's coming up?
Introducing Officer Ashley Acera.
Let's give them a round of applause. And I'd like to commend all those that pin the badges on. It's not easy. And you didn't stick anybody today, so that's a good one. So again, I'd like to welcome you to the Palm Beach County School District Police Department. Thank you very much for agreeing to be part of this organization. I wish you well on your journey here. And don't ever lose sight of our mission, and that is to keep our children safe every single day. Thank you very much, and this will conclude our ceremony for today. Thank you all for coming.